Okay, so I just wanted to do a short video of all these different scans that I'm going to be doing. So you can see there, Hetty's getting in shot. Thanks, Hetty. So this is one Meshroom scan that I did the other day. So I'm just showing some footage of that. So, as you can see here, we've got Meshroom opened up. For those who are not familiar with Meshroom, it's open source software. It's for creating photogrammetry. So essentially you drop your files in here, pictures you've taken, it gives you a preview over here, and then basically it spits out a kind of 3D model over on the right. You can see down the bottom here, this is basically like visual scripting, so this is kind of what processes the entire thing, and then basically you'll get a readout at the top as well, which is in the form of a line. So I'm going to bring the images up that I've used in the previous model. So you can see here, this is the style near where I live, and basically what I did was I sort of went around the style, just taking a series of pictures. I could have taken more, but I just took a few, just generally around the side, and then went over the top just to get those. Now I didn't go around the back either, but that was enough. What we're going to do with this one is we're going to just have a look at the tree, and we're going to load the tree up inside the software, and we're going to create a model from that. So I'm just going to fast forward to the pictures of the tree. To there. See there, I've got a series of pictures that I've taken all the way around the base of the tree. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on the first image of those trees. On there, shift, and then click on the last image. There, and then we're going to drag them over into where it says drop image files. There we go. So that's all loaded up. And the only thing that's going to be left to do is, once you've got them all loaded, you can inspect all the photographs just to make sure they're all loaded okay. You can see that in the image viewer. Once you're happy with it all, you can click start. So I suggest after you've hit start, go and make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. So you can see here it's loaded the model up. Get a closer look at the model. Now you can see there are a few issues going on there. It's going to turn off the structure from motion, so get rid of all the little points. There's some holes in the geometry there. It's not an issue. We can tidy that up in Maya. It can happen when you're scanning stuff in. But that's pretty impressive, saying that it's just come from photographs and it's actually created a 3D mesh. That's pretty impressive stuff. So how do we export this? You'll want to select texturing down at the bottom there, and then you want to go to the output folder, right click, and go open folder. Now this is where you will find your files. Now I've taken the liberty of exporting these into a folder, but that's where you'll find them. So I'll close that down, and this is the folder here. I'm just going to open it up. It's exported the two sets of textures, and also you've got the MTL and the OBJ file. This is from a previous model that I created, so ignore that. So it's just these two. So basically this is what you're going to be opening up. You want to open up the OBJ in Maya. So you do that obviously by going into Maya in importing. So anyway, so here we have something I prepared earlier. So I've imported these by going to File, Import, and then obviously you'll find your folder, which is here, and you'll actually be okay just doing the OBJ. Once you've imported the OBJ, it'll come up as blank. Hit 6, and it'll come up with the textures, plural. So here we have the we have the original model. So you can see here it's got all those errors that we saw before. Yeah. So that's the original scan. And then what I did was I took the liberty of to get it to this stage, which is the tidied up scan, is by basically going along, going right click, face, and just highlighting parts of it, hitting backspace, and deleting it. Yeah. So I'm just doing that. So basically, just going around and get rid of any extra bits, like things like this. You don't need it, right? So basically, that's the next stage following on from that, which is essentially creating the just a tidied up version. However, we've still got some problems, which is if you go to the top and the side here, it's incomplete. Yeah. So what I did next was, this is the filled in version. So what I did was I took the liberty of clicking on parts of the model and creating bridge. So I'll just do an example here. So right click, go into edge mode. You see that it all kind of turns blue. And this was fairly simple. All you need to do with this is double click until you get this like a yellowy line. Go to mesh and fill hole. Give it a second. There we are. And so it's filled it, and obviously it's got the texture in there, but don't worry about that. And then for the rest of it, it's not so simple. What you're going to have to do, it's a little bit fiddly, is click on, pick a part that's going to work well to bridge. So pick one part, say there. I'm going to pick another part, say there. Hold down Shift and click. And then you want to open up the toolbox, which is there. Go to bridge, which is there. It'll basically create a bridge to go from there. Now it's a little bit fiddly because you're going to have to kind of work your way down the trunk. But I'll just show you this first part. There we go. And I'm just going to just delete this little bit here. Don't need that. Backspace. And then I'm going to go back into edge mode, and then this time I should be able to, I might just, you know what, I might just take that face away as well, because I think that's going to complicate things. So I'm just going to take that away. Okay, and then once you've done that, I'm going to go to, edge, double click, so it creates that yellow band going all the way around. I think that might be, actually, I might just take that away as well. So just, it's probably like, I'm just doing this video, but it might be an idea just to take a bit of time and just make sure there's nothing that's going to interrupt the next part of this, which is essentially I'm looking to kind of fill this section in. I'm looking to fill the other sections in going down the trunk until eventually we enclose. Looks good. Now I think that's actually, or maybe that one as well. Then go to Edge, double click, and then go to Mesh, fill hole. Give it a second. Okay. And basically what you're going to have to do, as I mentioned before, it's a little bit fiddly, is you're going to have to work your way around by doing the same thing in sections. We go to Bridge. And then do the same thing as I did at the top, which is double click, then go to Mesh and fill, and basically work your way all the way down. And then you get to this next part here, which is ignore all the kind of, it looks very, very messy, but basically we just sort of sealed up all of the mesh. I've not bothered so much with the bottom, it's just the top. So you can see there, filled in. And then the next part is I'm just going to assign a new material to it so you can see it now just in its kind of raw form. Now don't worry about things like n-gons and things like that, because, well, this particular program that we're using, which is 3D Coat, is going to import it as voxels anyway. So the idea is I'm going to use this as a base. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire thing in the next part of the video, but I'm just going to show you how to kind of sculpt into it to basically make it look a bit more uniform, and then we'll use that as a basic model to bake this texture onto, using the auto topo. So basically we'll auto topo this and bake that texture onto it. It'll all make sense when we go on to the next part. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video, folks. So welcome back, folks, to the next part of this video. So following on from the last video, the bits that I'm going to be choosing to export are going to be the tidied up scan, which you can see here, and also the filled in scan, which you'll see here that I've created a new material for it. Don't worry too much about these ugly things here, these faces, because we're going to be uploading this into 3D Coat, or indeed if you wanted to you could put it into ZBrush, that's fine, or any other 3D modeling program of your choosing, but we're basically just going to take an opportunity to tidy it up. Now I've already done that. We're going to go into that in a minute, but yeah, so don't worry too much about that. So you know how to export from Maya. Just go to File and Export Selection, export them as an FBX. For this one, you can do it as an OBJ, but I've just done them both as an FBX. And then I opened up 3D Coat, and I put the model in there already, and basically just tidied it up, made it look a little bit more organic. I've used things like the build tool, and used some of these alpha brushes to kind of create some nice kind of bark-like looking textures, just so it doesn't look so ugly. So that's the first stage. Now I just thought I'd do that in preparation for the next stage, which is once you've kind of like done the tidy up, then you want to do auto topo. So basically, it's a re-topology of this, create like a skin. So basically, you right click on this, you go to auto topo and instant meshes. Now I've made this relatively high. I've made it about 10,000. It perhaps doesn't need to be as much as that, but I just thought, just for the sake of expediency, you could probably, half that by playing around, but I've just left it at 10,000. Click OK. Give it a minute to do its thing. Okay. So you see there, we've got the model. That all looks pretty much all right. There might be some errors. There might be some missed bits of geometry. It does happen. I'll just extrude that just to sort of see. It all looks like it's pretty much okay. If you do end up having any gaps, I can see maybe just something a bit funny happening there. Now, okay, so depending on like the level of detail and how much scrutiny this model is going to get, you can take care of these things either by using some of these tools such as add split and quads, or even doing things like caps. So just for example, I'm not going to get into this now, but say for example, I'm not sure if this is going to work here, but you can basically fill in the hole, so to speak. That seems to have done it relatively quickly, actually, as it happens. But you don't necessarily need to worry about it. What I was going to say is, you can, if you want, yeah, that looks okay. If you want, when it comes to, after we've kind of baked it onto the model, the texture, you can do this thing called tweaking, where you can basically move, do a bit of sort of cheating, just fold some of the geometry in and of itself. If this is going to be like a bit of static mesh in a game, no one's going to be, in the game, no one's going to be focusing on one little corner like that if it's in a scene. And if you've got, say, that, and it's in a little kind of 3D game scene, number one is that the player, whether it's like a third-person player or a first-person shooter, they're not going to zoom in all the way into the corner. Yeah, so it's just something to bear in mind, because perhaps the danger is just trying to be total perfectionist about this. You've got to look at the bigger picture. If you just want to kind of create a scene, don't pour a whole bunch of time into trying to fix every single little problem. If it's not going to interfere with the game engine and anything like that, I really wouldn't worry about it. Particularly, when you think about LOD, level of detail, it's choose your battles wisely. If it's something where, for example, it's like if it's a first-person shooter and you've got some kind of weapon, and of course, you're going to need to make sure you iron out any issues with, with the polygons. But for something like when you're dressing a kind of scene, it's just it's just being mindful of that. Anyway, so once you've re-topologized the sculpt, I'm going to export this mesh as an OBJ, save it in our folder, and then we're going to open up the original tidied up scan in Paint, which is up here, and then we're going to bring that into re-topo, and then we're going to bake that onto it. So without further ado, we need to export. The thing that you'll need to do though in 3D Coat is, before we export, we're going to have to select all the faces for this layer. So make sure it's all selected. And then down on the left here, you'll go to Export, and we'll call it Trunk re-topo. Click Save. And that's it for that, for the time being. So in the next part of this video, we're going to be going into Paint. We're going to be importing our scanned, tidied up image and bringing it into re-topo. So I'll see you in the next part, folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project with this. We're going to, this time, go to Paint UV mapped mesh per pixel. We're going to open up our tree trunk 4 with image. Now, even though it's an OBJ, it'll load on the image on top of it. Now, it's just going to ask us a few default things. We don't need to worry about any of this. Just make sure though, if you're putting this back into another program, for example, my aim was to finally put this into Unreal Engine, but it might be you going into a different program there. It could even be ZBrush. So just make sure that. Apart from that, the rest of it's fine. Click OK. Give it a second, and it should load the model in there. Okay, there it is. Next, we're going to go to re-topo, and as you recall, so I was going to bring that mesh in, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to re-topo and import, and go and find our file, which is here, trunk re-topo. Click open. You can see there it's placed it dead center. Now, the reason we're seeing a gap obviously is because I tidied up the image, if you recall, from earlier. So that's why there's parts of it missing. Apart from that, we should be ready to go. So I'm going to go to, I'll click apply. So do you want imported mesh topology to be snapped? We're going to click no. And you see there it's back in its original form now. Now, if you wanted to, you could play around with this additional extrusion. The additional extrusion, essentially, it's like how much of the image it's going to capture. Now, that looks pretty good to me. We'll soon find out. You know, there might be some parts of it that don't quite work out. We'll see. But anyway, before we bake it, though, we're going to need to because we'll just do it on an automatic. We'll just need to go to edge loops and just select one of the lines like so, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to auto map. Basically it'll just do its own calculation. Yeah, we'll map the entire thing. It's all good, and then we'll have a look and see what it does. I'm going to go to bake with normal map. You don't need to worry about any of this. Just going to click OK. Again, just make sure that it's in Unreal Engine. Click OK. For it to do its thing. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Now we need to take now the original OBJ out with the image. So I'm just going to go on to UV, and we're going to take this set out. So not sure if that's it. Let's go and have a look. Go through to paint. And hey presto, there we go. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Fantastic. Fantastic. So if I press W, you'll see there, that's the mesh. And it's baked down onto it. Fantastic. Okay. So the next part is, obviously you can see here we've got these areas that we need to take care of, which is not a problem. All we need to do really is in 3D Coat we've got a clone stamp tool, so it's a bit like Photoshop. We've got a clone stamp. And basically what we can do is we can work our way around, hold down Control, work our way around. Sorry, I need to select the colour, and just turn that down a little bit, and just start working our way around, tidying this up. Now obviously, you know, take a bit more time on this, but I'll probably speed this part of the video up just to show you the end result. So here we go. Okay, so that's pretty much it finished. Basically, as you'll have seen in the video, kind of went round cloning the existing textures there, and I also took the liberty of just getting a photograph of the end of a sort of tree stump and I projected that using this tool here, and put that on a different layer, tidied it up, and then finally I've got a saved water texture that I've got here, which I sort of projected on. You can see there's bits of it that kind of like remain, so you kind of make parts of it kind of look wet. But also, if you use the eraser tool, you can also take it away and it'll sort of create sort of, you know, like a bit of sort of bump, a bit of sort of a texture there. So I did that for the kind of the moss that's kind of growing on there. So that's pretty much good to go. Just to conclude, I'm going to now just upload this into, well, save it first, and then upload it into Unreal Engine, and that will be in the next part of the video. So see you in the next part. And here we are, folks, in Unreal Engine, where I've uploaded the final model. As you can see there, I've just added a little bit of foliage there and a bit of just a bit of wind on there, just for effect. But it's turned out quite well. You know, all the details have been preserved, all the painting that I've put on there, even some of the kind of wet. I'm not really sure you can kind of see it there, but if you sort of go around the side here, run to the back, you can see there's a bit of that moisture as well, so that the roughness is all working out. And then I'm just going to leap up on top if I can. Just give me a sec. There we are. So all the top here is looking good as well. We've kind of got this like broken off, sawn off sort of tree stumps, and yeah, the results are you know, pretty good. So that's pretty much it, really, folks. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and you know, maybe inspired you to create, you know, your own Megascans. I mean, nothing against Megascans, they're great, but you know, how about sort of creating your own work? You know, doing your own, you know, using 3D programs like Meshroom, and then putting it into Maya and into programs like 3D Coat. Of course, you know, you could try, you know, use Substance Painter or the likes, and just have a mess around yourself and create your own sort of authentic scans, put them into a game, and you know, the results are pretty cool. You know, what you can kind of get with this stuff. And I don't know how long this video is in total. It's something approaching about half an hour. So you could probably get something made, quite possibly even in less time than that. You know, well, at least just get it done, like I say, an hour or a couple of hours. And hey presto, you've got your own bespoke assets. You know, so anyway, that's it. Hopefully you found the video enjoyable. If you're new to this channel, be sure to give it a like, and of course subscribe and comment. Of course, if you've got any questions, get in touch. I will answer it best I can. I always answer questions, so even if it's not on the same day. So so that's it, folks. Until the next video, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye for now.